everyone, my name's Lydia and I'm here with B. We're both peer educators for the Counseling and Psychological Services at UM-Dearborn, and today we're going to be doing a Mental Health Monday, talking about how to organize your semester. So a quick overview of this presentation. I'm first going to talk about just different ways you can organize your classes. B is going to go into a little bit more of the campus resources here for you as you're starting your semester up. And then I'm going to finish off with just some additional pieces of information we thought would be necessary to include. So one of the first ways I look at organization is with a physical planner. I personally use it, and I have some tips here that make it a little bit easier and more fun for you. The first is personalization. So organizing and maintaining a schedule is always easier when the work is written out in a way that is eligible to you and just makes you feel like it's more of your work. You can put stickers on it, you can decorate it, do little drawings, just anything that makes it seem more like yours. Secondly, you can use different colors to separate the material. I prefer to color code by class, but I know a lot of people like to color code by different assignments. For this, you can use pens, highlighters, markers, really anything in the style that you prefer the most to kind of just keep things a little bit more organized. The third thing is to focus on the more important dates. If you feel really overwhelmed with all the different syllabi you have from your different classes, it's always helpful to really emphasize those important main dates of like big tests, assignments being due, rather than focusing on some smaller readings while adding it to your planner. If you feel ready or able to add those smaller assignments and readings in, I definitely recommend that as well. But just to start off, focusing on important dates. The fourth thing is updating the planner as a routine. Kind of stick with it, make sure you're doing it continuously so you don't lose things or miss out. And lastly, kind of with updating the planner, cross off finished assignments. It makes you feel like a little bit more achieved sometimes to cross it off, and it also kind of keeps track of everything. Another method that I use is Google Calendar. So for this, you can actually create new calendars for each class that can also be named, described, and color-coded. So if you have a planner and Google Calendar, you can kind of match those colors up, which is really helpful and efficient. And then having a personal calendar is also a good one to add along with those color-coded classes. So you can add in all the smaller things and that you need to do and appointments that you have that aren't regarding school. For this, you can also add as much or little information as you want. You could only add assignments or exams, but you can also add specifics such as class times, which we'll get into in the video that be provided for you on the next slide. But the third thing is to use notifications if that works for you. These can be set up to connect right to your phone or on your computer to remind you for different meetings and classes. And lastly, download the app on your phone. If able, this is super helpful and effective for me for remembering dates because it's kind of always on me. So I can always check to make sure like, oh, did I forget an assignment, or what do I have tomorrow? Just to make sure you kind of always have that calendar with you.
Okay, so I did find a little video here, and let me know if you can't hear it for whatever reason. It's about 5 minutes long, kind of goes into some of the stuff that Lydia was just talking about. And so we just wanted to watch that to get just another way to look at things, maybe get a visual example of kind of some of the things that we're talking about here. So let me know if you can hear it.
It sounds really quiet, I think.
I wonder if I can, maybe if I don't know how, not sure how I would make that louder. Let me see if they have captions. I'm so sorry. Usually these videos play without a hitch.
We can also just share the video in the, like when the slides are presented, just so people can watch it if we can't find a way to do it on this.
Okay. Are you like not able to hear it at all, or is it like so quiet that you just can't hear it?
It's like so like I think I can hear it. It sounds like it, but it's so quiet I can't really.
Okay, so we'll say this because this was just kind of a visual representation of like what your Google Calendar can look like and what color coding can look like and things like that. So what we'll say is that we'll hold off on playing the video here because I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time and pausing it in YouTube and stuff like that. But if you are interested in accessing the video, you can reach out to us and we'd be happy to share it. I also personally have some others in a little playlist that I like to refer to sometimes when I'm trying to get my stuff together. So if you ever want to access videos like this and stuff, you can go ahead and reach out to Caps and we would be happy to send it to you since no one actually is here live. We can't really paste like the link in the chat or anything. But if anyone's interested, you can go ahead and reach out and ask for it. Sorry about that. Usually the videos either have captions or are loud enough to hear, but I can hop on to the next slide and we can move on with that. So there we go. Okay. Sorry about that again.
So some other organization ideas that we kind of added, using a whiteboard as a calendar. If you're able or you have space, hanging up a whiteboard on the wall is honestly really helpful and can be pretty efficient for certain people, especially if you hang it in a spot that you run into often. So if it's closer to your door as you leave for class, you can check and make sure if there's any readings you should get done for the day, any assignments that are due or exams. It can also remind you of different class times and specific meeting dates. Usually if you're doing this, I would recommend having another planner as well, just because it's kind of easier to write things down and kind of be able to bring it with you to class and to campus. But that's also just a really good organization idea. Secondly, combining resources, like I just said with the whiteboard. You can have that for bigger events and a smaller calendar for smaller events. Just kind of doing whatever the best combination or specific planning methods are best for you is always the best way to kind of figure out how to organize yourself for the semester. So third is to-do list apps. These can be on the phone, on your computer, on your iPad, whatever device you're using for homework and school material. Just allows you to check off more immediate things that need to get done for the day. And like I said before, it's really fun just being able to kind of cross off something that you did or check it off and just feel a little bit more accomplished and appreciative of the work you put in for that. And then lastly, I put a little picture up. This isn't mine, but it's just kind of an idea of Notion. I do use it. You can put it on your computer or your phone, but you can really personalize things here. You can add in pictures, links, really anything. It's a little difficult to get the hang of at first, but I really recommend looking into if you're really like invested in organizing your semester. And there's a lot of tutorials online for it.
Okay, so that was all really fun organization stuff, but that's more general, right? So now we're gonna kind of transition into stuff that is specific to U of M-Dearborn, resources that are available to us as students. So the first and foremost thing is we all have advisors and access to the advising department. Now, your advising department obviously differs based on the college you're going to, so Castle, Chess, College of Business, etc. But if you are having issues, maybe with your degree planning, you don't know what classes you should take, you don't know what requirements fit where, anything like that, you should meet with your advisor. Now, at the beginning of the year, at least for undergraduate advising, I'm not sure how it's changed for first and second year students. I know they have the START office where you have to meet with an advisor in your first and second year. But when you're in your third, fourth, fifth, etc. year, you get assigned an advisor. Like today, for example, I just got an email from my assigned advisor saying, you know, welcome to the semester. Email me if you need anything. But outside of that, you also get to choose who you meet with in the advising department. So when you go to that my.UM-Dearborn, etc., you can choose anyone on that team to help you and schedule in-person virtual appointment. And also here, this website, umdearborn.edu/academic advising is kind of the one-stop for everything, for every type of advising that is offered, academic-wise, START, undergraduate, graduate advising, things like that, and free as always. All of these resources I'm talking about are free because they are paid for by your tuition. So next we have CAPS and DAS. So CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services, is the Department for Mental Health Services on campus. So counseling is free and confidential. They offer one-to-one, so you and one therapist. They offer group counseling that you sign up for. They offer drop-in hours where you don't have to sign up for anything. You just go to the room or you click the Zoom link and you can talk to someone for a couple minutes. Or they also have couples counseling where if you are in need of couples counseling and you are a U of M student, you can have couples counseling even if your partner or partners are not U of M students. That is also offered. You have freedom in who counsels you. So if you write in your email, you're like, I'm looking for counseling, maybe you have had bad experiences with male therapists for whatever reason. So you're like, I would like a female therapist. You can make requests like that, and based on availability and scheduling, they try to accommodate you. And outside of like the counseling, we also have events, weekly events. If you've noticed those tables in the university center, that's always CAPS doing some fun activity. And then YouTube videos like this are Mental Health Mondays, where we talk about different mental health related topics. And also our Wellness Wednesday emails, where we talk about different areas of wellness, get sent out to students every Wednesday in an email format. So if you ever have any questions or interest in anything that CAPS does, you can always email them at umdearborncaps@umich.edu. They're actually really good at getting back to you. And from my experience as someone who works at CAPS and has also been a client at CAPS, it has been pretty good experience overall. But moving on to disability and accessibility services is also free. And this is where you get help in your classes. So these are the academic accommodations. So if you have a type of disability, maybe you are blind, you are deaf, you are hard of hearing, you have autism, ADHD, you have any type of disability that makes it hard for you to learn, they are there to accommodate you so that you can learn at the same pace as everybody else. So this is test proctoring, where they read you the tests out to you in meetings, sign language interpreters, alternative formatting. So this is maybe taking a physical copy of a textbook and scanning it so that you can put it into a word reader if you're blind or hard of seeing, and adaptive technology like that. Usually to get these accommodations, you do have to have a set diagnosis from somewhere, but you can get diagnosed with certain things at CAPS. Their abilities are limited because testing for certain diagnoses are very expensive, but they can diagnose you with certain things, which leads you to getting disability and accessibility services accommodations. But if you are not able to do that and you are really having trouble in class and you really need accommodations right now, they can give you preliminary emergency accommodations without any sort of diagnosis, maybe if you have one pending or things like that. So those are the services that CAPS and DAS offer. I think it's really cool because they've both really kind of developed in their abilities in the last couple of years. So yeah, those are very valuable services in my opinion. And then next we moving with financial aid. Financial aid's email, UMD, ask-ofa@umich.edu. They can give you information on FAFSA, your loans, etc. You can set up payment plans for your tuition, financial issues, problems funding school. Again, this is one of those teams where you can choose who out of works there you can meet with. They have in-person, virtual, and those drop-in appointments, speaking with a counselor of your choice. And I just included a little screenshot of their information here. So it shows their physical office location, their phone number, and their email. They also have a website where you can access those drop-in hours. I usually prefer to schedule appointments with financial aid counselors, but that's just up to personal preference. So financial aid is another very important resource that we want to keep in mind. Another big one, not really on the academic side, more so on the student life side, aptly named, is the Office of Student Life. So this is Student Org Central. So you can find, join, and participate in student orgs here. You can get information on organizations. If you are already in an organization, you can get resources from there to help with the student org that you're in. Maybe you're doing the winter registration fair, things like that. You need banners, you need pins, you need buttons, promotional information, things like that, printing flyers. You get them stamped by OSL. That's the place you want to go. It is a good starting point to get involved in extracurriculars, especially if you're a new student and you don't really know where to go. You don't really know who to talk to get an in to start going to organizations and things like that. Because it's important to get in those orgs at the start of the semester, because there are many orgs like Student Activities Board, UM-D, the radio station for UMD, who do really amazing things. So it's good to get in there at the beginning of the semester, and you can email them at engagement@umich.edu. That is their email. And next, we have the Center for Social Justice and Inclusion, the CSJI. So this is the place for marginalized students. So if you're a queer student, a veteran, person of color, international students, all that good stuff, this is kind of the place for you. So the physical office of the CSJI has literature on racism, trauma, queer trauma, community healing. They have that in person and on their website. And the Wolverine Commons, which is that big windowed room in the back of the University Center. There is a little place in there for Pride students that is specific to Pride students, where you can hang out if you just need a safe space to do homework, you're not really sure where you belong. Things like that is really important, and having access to those identity-specific resources is also very important. A place for you to, advocate for yourself. If, again, you're a new student, you don't really know where you fit, you're not a traditional student, this is a good place to go. The Center for Social Justice and Inclusion. And then kind of the last thing here is more academic resources, tutoring, things like that. So there is the Writing Center, where they can help you with your essays, writing assignments of any kind, really, and any stage. So even if you have a full essay or just an outline, they can help you there. The Math Learning Center helps with drop-in and scheduled appointment math tutoring. They have individual tutoring, which you can access via the CSJI office. As far as I know, I'm not sure if it's changed, but I know the tutoring office is still in CSJR as far as I know. So that's individual tutoring on any subject, and then supplemental instruction, which is class specific, but I still think is a very important class resource, because if you're like in a chem class that has an SI and you just don't know what the professor is talking about, I have found SIs to be a very helpful resource, because they're students just like us, and so more often they come to us on our level and can explain things in ways that we understand, which I appreciate. Okay, I know I was rambling for a bit, but I will throw it back over to Lydia for these tips and tricks.
Yeah, so I just have kind of a few more things to touch up on, like I said earlier in this presentation. So the first thing is trying to add some time in for self-care when planning your schedule. Kind of ties into the second one with overbooking yourself. Obviously, B gave a lot of really great resources, including that Office of Student Life. And sometimes you kind of get a little too overbooked with different things. You have so many classes going on and assignments, and you really want to make sure that you're kind of adding some time in for yourself when you think you need it or you just want it, because it's really important as the semester progresses and gets a little bit more difficult that you're really making sure that your own mental health and just overall wellness is still a big focus and a big part of your attention. So that's kind of a little thing I do for myself as well, is just make sure I have a couple of minutes at least a day to really just take some time for myself and relax. So the third thing is, don't stress out if things don't go to your schedule or what you had as your plan. Every once in a while, something comes up that can kind of disrupt your plan a little bit. So it's just best to kind of try to adjust as well as you can and get back on track. Because obviously, when we make a little bit more strict schedules and plans, we end up allocating a little bit more time than we thought we were gonna need to do different readings. I know plenty of times I was like, this will only take me an hour, and then it ends up taking me a little bit longer than that for sure. So definitely don't stress out if you don't end up getting everything done that you wanted to for that day or even for that week. Just try your best to kind of get back on that track or adjust your schedule as much as you can. And lastly, ask for advice if you need help. Obviously, there is like supplemental instruction and individual tutoring and all of those really great things. And if you need help with different roadblocks or things you're going through with that class, you can go to those resources. You can talk to people on campus. And I recommend talking to your professor as well if you think they'll be able to kind of help you and understand a little bit more of the struggle you're having in that class. I really recommend reaching out. And then if you know someone in your class that you could possibly ask for their plan for this semester, that's always helpful to just kind of get an idea of what other people may be thinking and how much time they might be putting aside. But just remember, it's your interest kind of at the heart of your own research and your own studying. So if someone studies less than you, then still try to kind of make your plan around what you think you need and what's going to be best for you to achieve your goals in the class.
Definitely. And something to add on to really quickly before we close out is that I used to be the student who was like afraid of like, quote, bothering my professor, because I would email literally every question I had. I would email, and I knew, I was like, they're probably annoyed by me at this point. But then I kind of like logicked it out, is that like, okay, but they're being paid for it. You know what I mean? Like, you're paying to be there. They're being paid to teach you. So there is no shame in asking a million questions, because it's their job to answer a million questions or to direct you to someone who can answer your million questions. So there's nothing wrong with that. So we did just want to say thank you guys for watching, for those who are. And if you have any questions about either this presentation or anything CAPS does in general, you can email at umdearborncaps@umich.edu. You can call them at 313-593-3263 or visit in 2157 University Center. So that's upstairs. If you're coming up the front set of stairs, it's literally right there, a little bit to the right. So come visit if you would like to. And with that, I will stop sharing and stop the presentation. So have a good day, everyone.